MG Show. What real independent journalism looks like.
What you know you can't explain. But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Experience the awakening. Brilliant anonymous researchers. Patriots, join us in the Patriot Army. Trust the plan, pain coming. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. RedStateTalkRadio.com, Brighteon.tv, Rumble.com/MG Show. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day right here on the MG Show.
Let's get this party started. I see some new people in here. Michelle, welcome. Unfiltered lady, welcome. I see you guys need red castles. We will get you clothed and ready to go because red castle, green castle, we need to be clothed here. Guys, we got some new people. Welcome to all the new people that have seen our show lately. The Twitter is going crazy. People are starting to wake up. It's amazing. Shout out to some special people, Tracy and Josh. Justice Cometh. You guys have been great. And Shady Grove, we got a couple of friends of ours, John Nantz and Chris Hinkle. We've been on Chris's show, and John has been on this show. And they interviewed Kash Patel. Name to remember, Shady.
I know. And isn't it an amazing moment that we're in where we can get an actual insight into the reorganization and the current functionality of the greatest law enforcement institution in American history, and no one wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Why does no one want to talk about it, Jeff?
Because they don't want to see this administration succeed, Shady.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because you know what? And I'd like to just say, take a second for a moment to say, not only am I thankful for John and Chris and their work out there that they're doing, and Kash and the FBI, but as we sit here and we look at the balance of nature that has happened in America, of where we've gone from to where we're going to and where we're currently at, I think, Jeff, the biggest thing, we've heard fake news, we've heard MAGA, we've heard all of these different things from Donald Trump. And he's guided us along. But whenever you look back from 100 years from now, what are people going to remember that he said? I think that Donald Trump saying decline is a choice. I think Donald Trump saying decline is a choice is the thing that he's saying that no one else will say, that we all think, and we can't figure out exactly how to form it into a phrase and explain it to people, because we see us spending all this money and spending all this time and effort to do all these quote unquote good things that never any real good thing comes from it. And as we do that, we watch as our streets deteriorate. We watch as our statues fade. We watch as our water fountains don't work. We watch as our buildings crumble. We watch as the city people that run the city steal every single penny and never spend a dime on what it is they're supposed to do with the money that we're paying for with the representative government. So I think that whenever we look back from afar and say, how did we end up 500-year anniversary with this beautiful country that we have called America? It's going to be because one day, a long time ago, Donald Trump said, decline is a choice.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the communists and the anti-Trumpers and the never-Trumpers have chosen decline.
Yes, sir. And
I choose the golden age, Shady. That's what I choose.
That's where I'm. That's exactly where I'm going, and I don't know where all these. Whenever we said where we go, one we go all, it meant we're going to drag you kicking and screaming into the golden age.
I don't care if you like it or not. G Brothers, 1 subscription. E Boyle, 1 subscription. 17 Pages for Truth, 5 subscriptions to the MG Show. President Hugh, 1 subscription. Thank you. Sparky, 5 subscriptions. Much love, brother. Love you. And Holly Moore, 1 subscription. So we got people all clothed in here. It was funny. I was talking to Chris Hinkle in DMs. I go, did you mention the MG Show to Cash? He goes, no, but we talked about stuff that you and Shady have brought up, guys. So we're pretty close into that organization. We're very happy for that. Kash Patel wrote that he loved the MG Show in my book, Gangsters, Government Gangsters. He loves us. He even said, where we go, when we go all, from the movie. Thank you for flying. It's from the movie White Squall. And scot-free, that's what the president said, scot-free, Scots free. Yeah, yesterday for the Scots grass clipping company or grass fertilizer company. And that was kind of funny. Did they wanted to put new grass in the White House, and Scots wanted to do it. And I said, how much? He said, free. So Scott's free.
Scott's free. Did you guys catch that? I don't think anybody caught that. Nobody really even caught that yesterday, but you're exactly 100% right.
I love it. I love it. Rev Rob, a small nugget towards the gold mine. You guys keep digging. Thank you. And that is through the Rumble wallet with Tether Gold. Thank you so much, Rev Rob. We love you so much. And people that do help us out with that is amazing. That's $20. There you go. I see it now. Thank you. So let's get into it, Shady Group. This is Kash Patel. Kash Patel. And this is, by the way, I want you guys to go over here. I'm going to drop the post. This is John Nantz's post, okay? I want you to go here, and I want you to say, the MG Show sent me, or give them, that we talked about them, and we're going to watch the interview, and then maybe follow up with that post and tell them how much you love the interview, okay?
And what's interesting to me, Jeff, and what I think that a lot of people are going to realize within the coming months, is you're going to realize that there's a certain group of people that doesn't want law and order.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want you to understand, because they're making everything look very confusing and convincing, even that, they're against Donald Trump, or that Donald Trump is compromised by Israel, or Epstein did this, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson, all this different stuff. But what if there's a simpler solution? What if there's a simpler explanation? What if the simple explanation is that they're criminals? What if the simplest explanation is that the people that are dead set against Donald Trump not being successful are, in fact, the criminals of Gotham City? And the criminals have been running the show forever. And now the law and order guy, like Batman, somehow became the sheriff. And so since Batman is the sheriff, he's now putting the people in the lieutenant positions that do what Batman things, which is stand up for the little guy, stand up for the victim, the actual victim, not have enough discernment to be able to figure out who the victim is. It seems like that's part of the hurdle we're having a tough time getting people over. But I think that the criminals are the ones that are trying to fight Donald Trump. I think that the whole horde of them are criminals. I don't care who they are, if they're out there, and there's some people that have caught the TDS. But in all reality, I think the TDS is secondary. I think primary is criminals.
And people are like saying, oh, we haven't seen arrests yet.
We need arrests.
So they want you to arrest people that we can't arrest. But the people that we're actually arresting, the human traffickers, Shady, the criminals, the people that are marauding in our country to take your Social Security away, to take your assets away, to take your taxpayer money, to hurt your children. That is the real arrest. Those are the real arrests. And people say nothing's happening. Well, there's a lot happening, Shady, under this administration.
And on air yesterday, if you listen to Donald Trump, what did he say? He said 2% of the people create 90-some% of the crime. So that's a manageable statistic. Isn't that interesting? Because all of the criminals agree with the 2%. The media agrees with the 2%. The globalists agree with the 2%. The communists agree with the 2%. How in the world can all these people like flip a coin believe the same thing if they're just happenstance taking that position?
That's right. That's right. So let's get into it. This is Kash Patel. And you know, it's funny. The FBI just put it on their YouTube page, guys. Okay. So we have two friends. John's been on our show and we've been on Chris's show. And Kash has been on our show. All of these gentlemen have been on the MG show.
That's actually pretty amazing.
Huh?
I didn't see it like that till you said it, and I really like it.
But Jeff and Shady are bad.
Yeah, we're getting everybody rushes to that conversation. By the way, do you know how enthusiastic people are to come tell somebody how bad we are? And there's
Jeff,
literally no.
shoes.
These are some of the most miserable humans on planet Earth, Jeff. Like, they wouldn't be able to laugh at anything. They couldn't.
You stole information.
Well, give me the proof.
I don't have proof.
It's just my saying. It's the proof. It's Pizzagate is real. You don't have any information. Oh, it's a URL link.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. This is amazing. That's Kash Patel, name to remember. Oh,
And Jeff was on CNN.
yeah, standing up for Q, and I'm very proud of it. You know, and I just told you this again, and I think I've mentioned this before, Shady, but the reason why they think my CNN is a hit piece, because I did the research on General Flynn. General Flynn's brother, Charles Flynn, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers. And Donnie actually did me a solid, believe it or not. He said, and Jeffrey Pedersen does not condone the actions of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. And it is true. And they call me gay. They call me F-gits. They call me all these. Why would you? That's not MAGA. So I don't support that. And I don't support the people that if they don't have an argument, they call you P3DOs or stupid ass names, because that doesn't work in real society, Shady Groove.
I'm going to correct the record because that's exactly right. And I'm glad that you mentioned. I'm glad that you mentioned that because we needed the record corrected, and I forgot to correct the record because the record is that Kash Patel was under an assault from the group of Flynnians and from CNN. We could see it starting to happen. What were they doing? They were trying. It was before Trump had picked Kash to be the FBI director. And what they were all doing was they were trying to act like Kash Patel was Q. They were making these posts on Truth Social, and then they were making these posts that started to say like, Kash was associated with the Q movement. And then CNN started to say that they thought that he might even be Q, and this nonsense that they were spreading around. So Jeff defended Kash by going on CNN and explaining to them how he knew for certain that Kash wasn't Q, because Q was highlighting the work that Kash was doing, that no one even knew who Kash was.
Okay, right. First time I heard the name Kash Patel was on the boards.
That's exactly right. None of us knew, and that's the first time I heard it as well. We had never heard of him because he was the person that was doing this. He was a staffer doing the investigation for Devin Nunes's memo to combat the Schiff memo. Remember, Epstein and Bannon were telling us about all this in the Q post, guys. Remember that?
Yeah, and Flynn needs another 3 months. Good. We have another 3 months to use the Flynn thing to impeach Donald Trump on Russia. Guys, this is so insane. You guys are all seeing it now. I applaud all of you. A lot of you have been on this journey with us, and for you guys that are just joining us, you know, we're not trying. We don't need to be like apologized to. We don't need to be called right, because we want you to be right. The truth is never to be told. Never told. I want you to research it. I don't need my ego does not require an apology. Okay, my ego. The best way to affect it is for you to learn it yourself, man. And I would be so proud of you.
And to share it with others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to literally, you know, whenever we say the Constitution is your weapon, to some degree, we also mean the truth is your weapon.
Yeah.
You know, like the truth of the matter means something. And whenever, you know, I talked about it yesterday, you got rabbit holes out there. And whenever you get to the bottom of the rabbit hole, you can't keep digging. You've already got to your answer. Understand that you've got an answer. You know, this whole thing with Tyler Robinson is an absolutely perfect example of exactly that. You know, they're trying to say he's Oswald and he's a patsy. And then I go out and I say, Oswald was a patsy because he said he was a patsy. He literally came out and said, I didn't do it. That's not me. That's not my rifle. They put my picture on it. It's not me. And then the guy shoots him in the head. That's connected to the people that are trying to cover it up. That's a patsy. Yep. Okay. Tyler Robinson admitted it to his family, admitted it in Discord, and admitted it to his little lover.
And let's be honest, the very people that you're talking about, Candace Owens, are all connected to the Flynn network. Okay.
Yes.
The Tate brothers, our Flynn network, all these bad people. Isn't it funny? We got Juan O'Savin with Wayne Willett having a civil court paper saying that he molested his child, guys. Okay. Juan O'Savin. Then you've got the Big Mig guys. We went over them yesterday. All this is communist propaganda. And I think people are seeing it. It is the Great Awakening, Shitty.
It is absolutely the Great Awakening, and you're here with a front row seat because what we're doing is we're ignoring all of the psychotic babble and showing you what your president is working on for you. Look at D.C. He's not joking. Whenever he's sitting there and telling you how beautiful D.C. is and that you can bring your family there and that it's safe and the fountains work, you can actually drink out of the fountains and go to the museum. He's not just like, it's not like some like optic game for clicks. He's made the city safe, and Kash Patel is at the core of it. That city would not be anywhere close to as safe if Kash Patel and the Department of Justice were working hand in glove to prosecute the people in the way that the FBI intends for them to be prosecuted when they're investigating and turning in their reports.
Let's dig into this interview, Shady. What do you think?
I'm excited, man. I'm sorry I'm shot out of a cannon.
No, I know.
Too long.
We know these guys.
I know, and they're awesome. They're doing your work for you. They're listen, the reason that we love them is because they're doing it right. Because they're doing it by the book.
And with John Nantz and Chris Hinkle specifically, they didn't really know about Q, but they actually wanted to know more about it, which is very interesting to me.
Isn't it interesting that we have this dynamic, that we have the example of Kyle Seraphin and his dovetailing with InfoWars and the network. So you can clearly see the Comey FBI with Flynn, InfoWars, Kyle Seraphin, Comey FBI, and now you got Kash Patel, Donald Trump, and an actual investigative unit out there that are going after the criminals. So the criminals are very unhappy that they're no longer controlling the levers of government.
Boom. All right, here we go. Oh, Shady. I can't wait. Let's go.
Be able to sit down with you and discuss a lot of the achievements that you've accomplished in a very short time. And from my personal perspective, one of the things I really have appreciated is the designation of full-time SWAT, like STLs and so forth, throughout the different divisions, because for so long, SWAT had been treated like the kind of redheaded stepchild. But there is a legitimate struggle between cases and tactical capability. But I think with prioritizing at least some of these senior positions like the STLs and maybe, ATLs as well, I think that goes a long way toward balancing, those two competing interests. So that's one thing that I really appreciated from your recent changes.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for being here. Welcome to DSIG, the Director of Strategic Information Group. We can get into this later, but as you can see, when I got here, it was called SIOC, and it looked nothing like this. And the purpose of this place is to give information to leadership, the interagency in the White House, in almost near live time. When I got here, that window was set at a 30-minute marker. We are now inside of 3 minutes for each and every critical incident, mass casualty, any sort of law enforcement involved incident, state, local, federal, and usually I get it within 60 seconds. And so that boils down what we've done here, but it's been a tremendous lift by the team here. So look, our tactical operators, out of our every field office, 56 field offices, we got 56 SWAT teams, and of course we got our SERG elements and our HRT folks. And I spent some time as a civilian at JSOC, and I thought, look, these guys are our tip of the spear. That's just the reality of what it is. They're kicking down the doors. They're going after the bad guys and chasing down people who are firing at them. So why would we deprive them of the kit and the tools and the resources necessary? Last year we did, I think, 2,800 SWAT ops, which is a dramatic increase. It's the most the FBI has ever done. The high tempo of that demands a lot from the human that is doing it, from the intel folks and staff that are driving behind it. But one of my first visits was down to the Miami field office when I first got here, and I walked into the SWAT room, and there was just nods on the table, and they were 10, 15 years old. They were unscrewed. They were taken apart. And I said, guys, are we trying to go over like historical nods and where we are now? They're like, no, that's what we use now. We have to fix them, and sometimes they don't work. So I said, that's unacceptable. So we immediately solved that. And we worked with our partners at DOW and the Hill. And we said, look, our guys need nods. They're doing nighttime operations. They need to be able to see. And why that wasn't addressed before goes to what you raised. It was a larger problem. It had never been a focus. So what we did was we treated the SWAT program as an entity of SERG in terms of funding, so that we were able to treat them as essentially what they are, a Tier 1 law enforcement element. And so, like JSOC funds Tier 1 elements, we are now funding SERG and SWAT through that to get them the Bearcats, to get them the drones, to get them the nods, to get them the, the plates and the vests and the radios and the comms and the vehicle. So it was a massive overhaul. And that was just one way in which we were able to deliver fast results, but also listen to the field when they said, hey, what about our STLs in the field? Why can't we make them, full-time this or that? And I said, well, we can. And so we had to just work overtime to balance the FSL requirements for other needs. And we got to a good spot. And now every SWAT team is treated equally and also nested under SERG because that way we can break out an entire chunk of funding, and then SERG can program manage, because they're the best guys to program manage the SWAT operations rather than every single disparate field office. And we added 10 Bearcats last year.
That's awesome. I mean, to the SWAT point, when you have so much disparate control over the SWAT elements, you end up, a lot of divisions, whether they prioritize SWAT or not, it affects other divisions as well. And bringing that under SERG, I think, is a fantastic development. And I know from Miami, my experience on Miami SWAT, that oftentimes you'd have to beg, borrow, and steal from the division, for equipment. So that's really great to hear.
We're getting, our goal has always been, from when Dan Bongino was here, and now Rhea and Chad and company, has been to listen to what the field has been saying, not since I got here, but for years. Listen to your expertise. We reach out to folks that served in the Bureau and said these changes are long overdue. So SWAT was just one that we addressed immediately, and we achieved what we wanted to achieve, and they're in a good place.
The one thing that I'm really appreciative of is the level of transparency that you've brought to the FBI, and the fact that you balance that with the protection of civil liberties. So helping the public understand that while they are desirous to know about information of what's going on with a particular case or event or something like that, you also have to protect the rights of not just the victims, but the accused, because they have due process rights. And I think you've achieved a pretty good balance on that. It's a dramatic shift from the last three directors that I worked for before I retired, which were dramatically different. But I think you're doing a really good job with that. On the SWAT aspect that John was just talking about, I just spoke with the SWAT team leader out of Jackson, Mississippi, and he was appreciative of the attention that's being given there. Especially, it's really difficult in a small office. I supervised the SWAT team when I was down there in trying to balance a very small office with limited resources and address threats as well. And I think there was a time here before you came along that SWAT may have been a little overused and used for things that it wasn't the best face for the Bureau to put out there to send this tactical team in, when it could have been done a little more low key without drawing unnecessary attention, is what I call it.
Well, you're right. Look, SWAT's the hammer, right? They don't do crowd control. That's not their job. And they don't run complex investigations. But all of our SWAT guys are 1811s that have their own caseload. So we have to balance for the enterprise. We can't take away from the mission itself of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime, because a lot of these folks are dual-hatted. But that's also why we changed the SCL program to make sure, okay, your focus is on SWAT and what your team needs. And then what we were able to achieve was this balance in small offices or large offices. On the transparency front, look, it's the thing I learned from doing Russiagate way back in the day when I led that on the House Intel Committee was the American people does not like being told what happened in their government, especially if it was corrupt and illegal by government officials. They want to see it. And so I took that methodology.
That's kind of like the truth is learned truth is learned never told methodology, isn't it, Shady?
We're just taking it apart a little piece at a time here.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, it's like exactly the way that you thought your FBI worked, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know, you would kind of think like, oh, this stuff that happened in the movies was sort of like, you knew it wasn't real, but you thought that they were professionals, I mean, like, and would actually prosecute the criminals instead of cover up for them and let their little buddies slide out the back door.
So, and I'm also, he brings a good point. When I managed a business in Manhattan, it was, we were acquired by another company. And they're saying, hey, all you HP salespeople, servers and computers, you can now sell Cisco. Hey, Cisco people, you can now sell HP. Across the whole business nationwide, everybody's numbers fell, but mine. Why? Because I made sure that the Cisco people were continuing to sell the Cisco stuff, and the HP guys were still continuing to sell I split it. And so you have to give people the job that they can do well and keep doing it. Not, try to learn a whole nother product line, trying to learn a whole new customer base. The servers and the server management is different than the networking. So he's doing the right thing. He's making the FBI have the assets where they need and the actual people that can do it doing the job, Shady.
But we know what else I picked up there. He said that we were having to contact other offices and get other things to piece it together. Yeah. Guys, we're looking at a $11 billion budget from the FBI. Where's the money going? Oh, yeah, Jim Comey's got to get on his little airplane, and he has to go home for every single holiday and fly from the main terminal of the airport. Cash comes in and decides that he can save the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money by going into the smaller area of the airport, the secured area, taking those planes and not going through the main terminal. So, wow. Then they attack him for that.
Yeah. They just attack him because they don't want him to be successful. And he is being successful. Attacks and all, Shady Groove. I mean, listen, you know what? He's still successful.
You know how we know that he's successful? How many times are you hearing about school shootings? How many events did they pull off around the World Cup? How many different venues did we have and have foreign people coming here? All of this activity happened around it. How many events? None. Why? Because they were secure. Why? Because law enforcement was doing their job. You see, decline is a choice. Yeah. Law enforcement not working is decline. Do you get this? You're choosing for your country to be less safe because you're tolerating these imbeciles running your government.
With FIFA, they had 78 Super Bowls, guys.
Literally.
With no issues.
Inside America. And we got Tifa. We got Tifa coming out our ears.
Yeah, they didn't have any Tifa marches there, did they?
No.
Well, maybe you should watch yesterday's show about propaganda, communist propaganda. Kind of will make a lot more sense, won't it?
That was really good yesterday, by the way. If you missed yesterday, please come back and catch that, because what we showed you was the direct connection of how the communists work to dissuade, black pill, demoralize, talk you out of, say things that aren't true so that you'll believe this nonsense and somehow turn around inside the ranks of the military, which they're not even mincing any words. They're coming straight out and saying, turn on the ranks of the military. Sean Ryan is saying it, and sitting senators are saying it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. All right, here we go. Back to this amazing interview, guys.
Brought it here, and I said, look, as long as we are not interfering with ongoing investigations and protecting sources and protecting our partners, then I don't see a reason why we can't deliver the paperwork itself to the American people. So I think we are up to 55,000 pages of materials delivered to Congress. almost entirely unredacted. So we didn't give them those sheets that used to happen here with 40 sentences per page and 39 blocks of black ink. And so the 55,000 pages we've delivered is a 300% increase from my prior two predecessors combined. And we've done that in 14 months, and they held the seats for a total of 10 years. And so I think the American public and our oversight partners in Congress appreciate that they're getting this information, but also the American public is like, well, I can just read this on my own. You don't have to tell me what happened. And so I think that's critically important to restoring the trust of the FBI with the American public, which was severely eroded, whether it's due to weaponization, whether it's due to corruption or mismanagement of internal matters. We need to hold ourselves accountable to the people we serve, which is the American public, and that's why the Transparency Initiative is so important. It's going to go on. It's going to continue at a record pace, and we're going to continue putting out information in a methodical, safe manner while making sure we uphold the constitutional rights of those that are charged.
That's outstanding.
The numbers are irrefutable. Like critics, they want to take pot shots and say maybe you're not doing things fast enough or in the right way or whatever. But when you've got a 300% increase producing documents, I mean, this is a real effective transparency, right? The numbers speak for themselves, and it's not just that. I mean, the 113 CI or counterintelligence arrests. Yeah. I mean, to me, as a former CI agent, that's incredibly impressive. Because back in the day, I only could have wished for that sort of statistic to push up to headquarters and hopefully see that disseminated out in public. Which back then it wouldn't have been disseminated to the public. I know people have criticized you for the social media aspects of your administration, and initially, because us older guys were used to a different front-facing FBI, but I've come to really appreciate that level of transparency, especially from the rapid response account, where I can literally look at a graphic and see exactly what the Bureau is accomplishing. And it's, of course, not just me, but everyone else, supporters, critics alike. And the other thing I wanted to touch on that you just brought up was with regard to how quickly you're being updated with current information. And when it comes to cases that we see, that make the news, like the terrorism cases, you're out there almost immediately appropriately categorizing these cases. You're not afraid to call it a terrorism case or a domestic terrorism case or whatever. And that is something we did not see from prior administrations. That was, I don't want to speak for Chris, but for me, it was incredibly frustrating. Obviously this is a terrorism case, but the administration is terrified to label it as such. So I think that is one of the bigger sea changes that you have produced that has been one of the more commendable things.
Well, look, it's just a different time. This is my 18th year in government service. I never had a Twitter handle till I got the nomination to be the director of the FBI. I didn't physically have one. But that is how and where a lot of the world, not just America, goes to obtain information. And so, you can like it or dislike it, but that's the reality. People aren't sitting down and watching the news at 5 p.m. every day anymore. It's just not what's happening. And so we have a great team. We change how we deliver information, but also on a lifetime basis, because look, this is the cycle and era of we want immediate information now. And so our challenge is to balance putting out immediate information with an ongoing investigation and not having it interfere with that. And I think we've struck the right tone on major investigations and doing it out there. And I think with the CI stuff, look, it was a big problem. It continues to be a big problem. Russia, China, DPRK, and Iran. They are our biggest adversaries. And we need to tell and educate the American public that this spy problem is not just they're attacking government agencies and government targets. They're looking to collect from the American public. We need to educate them that this is going on at such a massive level and wasn't successfully program managed. So we changed that, and we are up, I think, these are just, we call them stats, but they're literally people and entities that we are disrupting and taking down. We are up 53% on counterintelligence espionage arrest in 16 months alone from the same time period in the prior administration. The actors, the threat actors in the prior administration knew they had a lot of space to play in. Now they're thinking about it again and saying, well, we actually keep getting caught. And so I think the American public learned through our publicization of that, you know, these cases you normally can't talk about, but we can once we get to court. We have public indictments, they're in public trials. We can put that information out there, and it helps us educate the American public on, like, well, how are they trying to steal my information? What platforms are they going on? What methods are they using? And then our engagement with the private sector and the cyber mission is it's different, but it's interrelated. It's been a whole new engagement we did with Operation Winter Shield and Riptide and things like that, because the private sector is critical to helping us stop these adversarial attacks on the counterintelligence side of the house. And so those were things we just, you know, when I got here, people were like, well, we just don't do that. And I've told folks here, and they know this, if the answer to the question I ask you is, this is how we've always done it, that is not the right answer. You know, 99.9% of the time is not the right answer, because the times have just changed, like you highlighted. So we have to adapt with what the American public does to receive information.
I think one of the things that I want the public to understand is the way that the agendas are set, and it comes from the White House down. But I think this White House is different because they're not. I was there when President Obama came on and was working counterintelligence, and we shifted dramatically in the state of Mississippi, where I had a number of PRC, People's Republic of China cases going, and we had a significant threat there to a number of industries in Mississippi. And all of a sudden I was being told to look under every rock for a Russian. And I had been there long enough to know that we had one Russian came through. He was escorting a body from the consulate in Houston to go to Atlanta to fly out to go back to Russia. He stopped to have dinner, and that was it. But we were still being told top down, this is what to go look at. And I think now, and I haven't met President Trump personally, but I get the impression he's the type of guy, tell me what the problem is. So you've done that with the regional concept of SACs. Tell me what you see from your liaison, your tripwires, your sources of what's going on in your area. What are the significant threats that your partners are concerned about, and how can we address that? And I think you've surged enough resources to that. Some places it's violent crime that the citizens want to see taken care of, like Memphis. Some places it is counterintelligence. Sometimes it's counterterrorism, depending on the locale. But trying to during our time in the FBI, of headquarters telling us what the threat was, rather than us saying this is what we're seeing.
No, it was so backwards. That's not the right approach, and President Trump has been the single greatest proponent of law enforcement in the White House ever. And the mandate was simple: go safeguard America, protect the homeland, and get our cities cleaned up from these violent criminal acts and gangs and traffickers and narco traffickers. And so the mandate was simple: go do it. Figuring out how to do it was a little more complex, but it speaks to what you were saying. You know, when I first got here, the NCR, the National Capital Region, had 1/3 of the FBI's entire workforce worked and lived in the NCR. Right. But 1/3 of the crime doesn't happen here. It just didn't make sense to me. This wasn't anything that was some sort of genius thought process. We have, 50 states, all these territories, all our extraterritorial work. So I took 1,000 1811s and I permanently moved them out of the NCR and pushed them across the field. This year we took 250 intel analysts, took them out of the Director of Intelligence, which we revamped, put them in the field, because intel drives ops in the field. On top of that, we shredded the diag, we reduced it by 40%, removing the bureaucracy that had created these jobs and institutionalized these jobs, and said you have to come to DC, you have to get our approvals, and you have to get a DC to do your promotions. We got rid of all that too. Your promotions are made in the field. If you want to come to DC, we got plenty of work. If that's where you want to be, we got tons of work here. But we shrunk that footprint. We're going to continue to shrink that footprint. And then we empowered the SACs. I made this a big pillar of our approach to fighting crime. You guys are in charge. Miami is different than Juneau, Alaska, which is different than Des Moines, which is different than Dallas, Texas. And you don't have to be in law enforcement to know that. And so we did that and pushed out those resources and we're going to continue that push. That's not a one-time offset. We want the majority of people that work in the FBI out in the field. Of our 36,000, I found it absurd that 12,000 and change lived and worked in the NCR. It made no sense to me.
I'm going to interrupt you, Jeff. I'm sorry to jump in, but I just feel compelled to kind of give you guys a little bit of an overview, just having experience and understanding what we witnessed during the time of the Patriot Act and 9/11 and understanding exactly what it is that's going on here. Now, just take the dynamic of what happened. If you go back and you look at the FBI budget pre 9/11 and exactly what they were doing, they were very organized, similarly to what Kash is saying here as far as around the country. The Patriot Act initiated a surge in massive amounts of funding and massive amounts of people brought into the, quote, bureaucracy. They were supposed to be entering into the bureaucracy, according to the Patriot Act, to go out there and find the terrorists. What you can clearly see here is that is not what happened. What happened is they went out and got a bunch of people to come in and sit around in D.C. and start digging up dirt on political opponents, or start going after and ignoring cases that were actually targeting conservatives, or perpetuating cases that were saying things like, you're this family over here, you're deciding you don't want to bake a cake, and now we're going to send like the whole entity of the law enforcement against you. All this nonsensical stuff that's gone on since the Patriot Act. What I hear Kash saying there to me is that he's reversing that, and he's taking all those people that weren't doing anything and he's putting them out there around the criminals. You want your law enforcement to be close to the criminal. I know that sounds weird, but it's very true. You have a hard time catching the criminal whenever you're nowhere close to the criminal. So these guys are in D.C. really struggling to catch the criminals in Puma, Arizona, because they're in D.C. Remember how Pedersen said, it's sand. It's going to be sand. It's like, send the law enforcement to where the criminals are. The criminals aren't going to come to where law enforcement is. Sorry.
And I think the results speak for themselves. When you drop the murder rate 20 points in 1 year, which has never been done before, that's not headquarters driving the ops. That's the field agents and the SACs and the intel analysts and support staff in the field saying, we're going to take care of St. Louis, we're going to take care of Memphis, we're going to take care of, pick your city. And I think you've seen the success. When you take, I think last year we arrested 45,000 violent offenders, we being the FBI. To put it in perspective, that's twice as many violent offenders that were arrested in the last year of the Biden administration. Those just speak for themselves. We have rid the cities of 45,000 violent offenders in a 12-month cycle, and those numbers keep going up and up for this calendar year. And so we're going to continue that.
What do you say to critics that will say, well, okay, those numbers, they're impressive numbers, but that's primarily like TFO activity or other partners?
No, they can say that. They can say whatever they want. Right. These are just FBI-driven numbers. When you add in the interagency, when you add in the HSTFs, when you add in the JTTFs, the numbers go even higher, even bigger. And the TFO thing, I'm glad you raised that. It was another one of these changes we made when I got here, and I'd worked these matters when I was on the JTTF in New York and a terrorism prosecutor before. And it was like 12 to 14 months to onboard a TFO, and you guys know this. You guys did it. Our best partners in the field are cops. Absolutely. We want more cops. Whatever you call the task force doesn't matter. But it was a 14-month onboard from when they applied to become a TFO to get on, because everybody required them to have a TS clearance, which made no sense to me. So we got rid of that. Everybody gets a secret clearance. If you need a TS, we'll get it to you. And I reduced the pipeline from 14 months to 60-day max. We had a 750-person TFO backlog when I got here. We're now at 0. And on top of that, the last remaining hurdle we had was the SACs were complaining, well, this is great, but we still need to deputize them when they get to the finish line. Right. So now we changed that. So now every SAC in the field is in charge of their own deputizations. They do them there. And that's the difference.
Go ahead. Well, one of the other things I want to commend is, and it's been a complaint of those of us in the retirement community, is bringing back I had a friend of mine call it the myth of the FBI agent, and the myth usually led. When you show up, you look the part, you act the part, and people will believe the part, and it brings a sense of not just prestige, but it brings a sense of comfort to the victims when they see somebody professional showing up. I think we went through a time before you came along where I used to cringe every time I saw a Ring doorbell camera with somebody in cargo pants, hiking boots, untucked polo shirt, in trying to convince somebody that they're an FBI agent. And I
Agreed.
I grew up from Zimbalist Jr. and the suit and all of that. And I used to try to educate the younger agents. I said, listen, you need to show up, you need to look the part. When you walk into the room, they need to know that you're in charge. I said, when people show up for the bank robberies and they're looking for who's in charge, look for the guy in the suit. And I said, it's not just the suit itself, it's what you represent. And the answer that I usually got from the younger agents was, well, I want to have them at a comfort level that I'm equal to them. And I said, listen, I'm telling you from 25 years of conducting interrogations, it's easier to take somebody from a tense standpoint and bring them down than it is to come in at this level and go the other way. And I said it's more productive that way. And I tried to comport myself that way, even if I was sitting, and I've done this, sitting in a trailer in Sumter, South Carolina, interviewing a guy that was violating intellectual property rights of multi-million-dollar corporations. I'm in a suit, sitting at the table talking to him. I want him to know that I'm in charge. And that suit carries that. People recognize it. Quick story, I was at the old Lorton prison. We used to have to work crimes on government reservation cases when we were coming up on probation. And I was with an assistant U.S. attorney, and we were walking across the courtyard, and he could hear the prisoners mumbling, FB1's in the house, FB1's in the house. And he said, how do they know? And I said, I don't know. They just figure it out. And he goes, well, what are you going to do if they try to do something to us? And I said, hey, what I'm going to do is, what are you going to do? Because I'm going to push you down and run away. But he kind of laughed at that, got him to calm down. But I think you're bringing that back in compass with, and I know Director Ray had disbanded the DEI programs, but the problem was still there, and you had to face that problem when you came on. And I like the idea of looking at what tools these people can bring, new agents can bring to the FBI, and it's not based on immutable characteristics like race and gender and things like that. So I commend that it's going to take a little while, but there is a shift in the caliber.
I think you're seeing it. Look, it has to start with our recruiting, right? We are losing too many quality candidates to the rigors of the requirements from yesteryear. Okay, so we just introduced and rolled out our GS9 program. If you've been a cop for a year and you have an interest in the FBI, no more 2-year requirement window after college. Come on in. Quantico is going to screen you out if you can't make it. Same with members of the military. We want those folks. We want college athletes. We want them here, and we want to give them a pay that they can afford to live as a young American while doing this awesome job. And the other problem we had with the recruiting pipeline and Quantico itself was it took you over a year to just even get from A to B before you even got into Quantico. We had the human side of the house is something we have tremendously focused on here, taking care of the people and taking care of the admin. We shrunk that by 100 days because we just eliminated the need for, why do you have to wait 90 days from your phone call to your appointment? Nothing happens in that time period except you lose quality candidates. Because the folks that do meet the level that you're talking about, they're like, well, I got a job offer with this and this agency or state, local, federal. I'm going to go do that because I can't wait forever. So we shrunk that pipeline. We're finally seeing recruiting numbers. We've never had recruiting numbers and application numbers this high in the history of the Bureau. We're not reducing our standards. We're actually making it harder. You got to be fit to be an FBI agent. But it's not just agents. You got to recruit intel analysts. You got to recruit support staff. You got to recruit lab officials and technical officials. We raised the salaries for the first time ever of forensic accountants because we couldn't recruit forensic accountants, and it made no sense to me. So we raised their pay to bring them in. We need forensic accountants to do this complex fraud investigations that we've had so much success with. So when you take on the non-tangible sides of the house,
yum.
because they just said it's worked and it's going to continue to work, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. And for the first time ever, irrespective of what the three of us say, the FBI has not had a budgetary increase in 6 years. This is the first year OMB came back with a passback number of a significant budgetary increase, and if Congress approves it, it'll be the highest budget the FBI has ever had, because we're showing them through transparency, through the people we're bringing in, and the work product itself, that this mission can work at a higher level, and it needs a little more funding, and we're finally getting it so we can take care of the people on the onboard once they get here, and also on the back end when they retire. We owe them that. We owe our folks that have dedicated 10, 20, 30 years of their life to this mission that they be treated the way they need to be treated. And so we're doing that. Little things like 1811s used to not be able to keep their service pistol. Now you can. We used to melt them down. Made no sense to me. Sorry. Well, we'll find yours if we can and get them back to you.
It used to drive me nuts to see these weapons just get tossed aside and thrown in.
Little things like that just made no sense to me. And it was just a policy. We changed the policy.
Janet Reno.
Well, we have a
What was
great
that policy, Jeff? I missed that. I'm sorry.
With one of the best partners, the FBI.
It was a Janet Reno policy to melt all if you retire from the FBI or leave the FBI, they melt down your gun and throw it away.
What?
Yep.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. No wonder this institution was inefficient.
Ever had. And every time I bring him a problem, 99% of the time, he's like, well, I need you to do that because this is a job we've been charged to do. And I need less paperwork, less bureaucracy. I don't need to make the mission less safe. I need you to raise the bar of how we do it and who we bring in, but figure out a way to remove the morass. And that's what we did when we took on the DIOG, for example. It took 40% out of it. Just didn't need to be there. It's just institutionalized bad habits that we got rid of.
The touching back on the recruitment process of being able to balance shortening the process, taking out the unnecessary hurdles. A lot of that is administrative, just the slowness of bureaucracy, but at least keeping the standards where they need to be and raising them when needed. Because one of the things that I tell my kids and tell others that are interested in the FBI, it's an achievement. It's not go get a job and I'm going to work for government for a couple of years.
It's not easy to get in here.
There's very few people that get in. It's a very exclusive, select club. And once you get in, I want you to be proud of it, that it's something that you've achieved. And then once you're on the inside, recognizing the awesome responsibility you have at protecting civil liberties, literally the one thing that you swear an oath to do. I'm happy to hear that the FBI agents are recognizing that again, the sincerity of that oath. I will say from a personal standpoint, I wish some of our elected representatives would understand that oath. But I appreciate that you're bringing back that it is something that's an achievement. And I used to enjoy, my dad used to brag about, I loved when people would ask me what you do, and they would tell them. And then we had a period of time where I was kind of nervous about telling them what you did.
Well, that's the thing that we need to fix, and we have addressed it head on. And the attacks to the media and the false reporting doesn't help the mission. I don't care what they say about me, whatever. But you're hurting the field. You're hurting the agents. You're hurting the intel analysts. You're hurting the support staff. You're hurting the mission. When I go around the country and I talk to police officers and law enforcement and agents and retired law enforcement, they're the ones coming up to me and telling me that the changes we have made have been long overdue. Thank you for making them. Agents in the field are constantly messaging me and saying, thank you for making these changes. We listened to them. We didn't just make this stuff up. We said, what do you guys need to do your jobs? Putting aside the fact that we're going to resource you correctly, what do you need from an admin and human capital standpoint? And what do you need from an administrative standpoint? And we did that across the board, which is why you're seeing applicant numbers go through the roof. And then having a pull-up requirement, we got a lot of heat for that. I'm not asking you to be a special forces operator, but if you want to be an agent, you can do one pull-up. If we're going to chase down a bad guy with a gun on your hip, then you're going to have to be able to do one pull-up. It's a rigorous
just one
enforcement, and we're going to hold to it. And if you want to come in and then become a tactical operator in HRT and SWAT, well, there's different quals for that, and you can go through that process. But we're not lightening the load. The workload and the training load is more rigorous than it's ever been because of what you said.
Guys, amazing.
They get out there into the field, they represent the FBI, and they have to carry themselves accordingly. It's not just in their appearance, but in their physical fitness and how they present themselves to the American public. The thing we did, last year's campaign was a national focus on how we've delivered and changed for the FBI. This year's focus, if you ask my team, is a regional focus. The one thing I learned is more people watch and listen to regional media and social media than they do national TV. If you look around now, name a period in the time of the FBI's history where you've seen an SAC behind a podium so often in the field, given press conferences. It's not their expertise necessarily, but they've taken the time to learn how to do it. We installed a program to help them how to do it, because we didn't just say, go ahead and do this. We're here to help you. We're here to train you on that as well, because the American public should be hearing about the takedowns and the massive achievements that you're having. One of the biggest problems we have had in this country was localized street gangs. It's the underbelly of both the gun trade and the drug trade. And I'm not
bring them to heel.
Tren de Araguas. That's a separate issue that we've handled under the authorities we've been given by the president, thankfully, on the FTO. But we have taken down, I think, something like 2,800 criminal gangs in 1 year. Never been done before.
But nothing's happening.
That is allowed the cities to be cleansed of guns and drugs and thugs. Those three, when you take those
you can melt down.
Your parks are a lot safer, your communities are a lot safer, your kids are a lot safer. And they are. They just are. You cannot see a reduction in drug overdoses by 20% if what we're doing is not working. This is what I always ask the rhetorical question to the media in Congress. They don't have an answer for. If everything we're doing is wrong, if all these changes are political, as you say, and personal, as you say, then how is it that the FBI has never been this successful?
Right.
Wow.
They don't have an answer for it.
And getting back to the transparency, and you touched on this with having the SACs behind the podium. I know we went for a while when I first came into the Bureau in the late 90s that there was actual training to not just SACs, but actual field supervisors. I went through a 2-week supervisor's course, and we had to stand up and give presentations as if we're conducting a press conference. And then for a while, we got away from that when it was the headquarters down focus. And I think there was
All right, we'll be right back with Kash Patel, name to remember. The FBI director highlights successes in the conversation with John Nantz and Chris Hinkle, friends of the MG Show, all three of them, in fact. And we'll be right back after these beautiful boom messages.
Hello to all of you beautiful patriots out there.
First of all, let me just thank you all for supporting this show. We wouldn't be here without you. But I have a huge announcement regarding donations.
It has come to our attention that using the Rumble app is taking an additional 30% of your donation to the show.
Let me explain. According to our TOS, Rumble takes 20% of all donations made through the web browser.
And that's a 20%. It's a good deal if you consider other platforms like YouTube and such.
There is a hidden cost that we just found out. For example, we received the generous $500 donation from Spill Tea, and thank you so much for that, from the Rumble app on Apple. So Rumble took 20% and Apple took an additional 30%. We brought that to Rumble and they said, well, Rumble's take of tips and donations is 20%. That's if the transaction is done through the web browser. If using the Android or iOS app, it's an additional 30% collected by those platforms.
So please use the web browser to make your donations to the show and avoid the hidden fees by Apple and Android.
That's right. You can also support us at GiveSendGo/HelpMGShow, mg.show/donate. We have PayPal and Cash App. Both are at RealMGShow or $RealMGShow. Please help us out. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, it's Jeffrey Pedersen and Shannon Townsend with the MG Show. We are under relentless attack by the mainstream media. They've got our PayPal, our Patreon, our YouTube, our everything, you name it. We are under attack. We need your help.
Our request is for you to get involved and support independent patriot journalism here in this critical battle that we are in for America. Please jump on over and support us right here on GiveSendGo.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
The MG Show, where psyops go to die.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it's true. You heard correctly. This summer, the Q Lounge Live returns to the airwaves every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Hello, I'm your host, Shannon Townsend, a.k.a. Shady Groove, and we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to be taking your calls. We are going to be following your wonderful president. We are going to be standing in the gap. We are going to go places where the conspiracy theorists tell you that you're not allowed to go. We are going to uncover the truth and follow along as Donald Trump has his way with all of these people that he stood up a long time ago and told us that he was going to. Well, it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening every single day, and we're going to keep you updated with a weekly show. Get ready, get your friends, show up. That's right, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Join me there right here on the MG Show channel on Rumble. God bless you and God bless America.
Darkness, through the static, through the spin. They called the truth a threat and tried to bury it again. Said Wuhan was a whisper, said the lab was just a lie. But we saw the smoke at sunrise, saw the storm behind the sky. They froze the shows and cut the money, tried to choke the living feed, tried to break a warning voice and starve the things that people need. But the map was on the table and the drops were still in line. Now the paperwork is breathing and the clock says it's time. You can't stop what's coming. You can only hide so long. When the proof starts hitting concrete, all your evil will be shown. It's time for the mask to hit the floor. It's time for the lies to work no more. It's time. We were right to hold the line. Future proofs past, bloodlines crash, and the whole damn world's on time. It's time. Trust the polished experts, fall in step and come to heal. While the same hand shaped the panic, sold the wound and sealed the deal. Fauci talking, papers dropping, every breadcrumb starts to rhyme. What they mocked as crazy patriots now reads like a timeline. We got years of being punished for a truth we couldn't shake. Every ban and every shadow was a tax on what we'd say. Now the D-class rolls like thunder across a hard and bitter sky. And the ones who built the silence got no place left now to hide. You can only run the psyop till the script begins to tell. When the receipts come out in daylight, everybody sees who's there. It's time for the mask to hit the floor. It's time for the lies to work no more. It's time. We were right to hold the line. Future proofs past, bloodlines crash, and the whole damn world's on time. It's time. Signal, read it in the smoking steel. News unlocked the hidden corners, made the buried story real. Call it Q-proof, call it pattern, call it truth that learned to wait. Now the wheel is finally turning and the hour's getting late. They took the channels, they took the checks. They tried to crush us, but we just flexed. But they couldn't kill the memory, couldn't kill the math, couldn't kill the line between, cause the news unlocks the math. On time. It's time. The quiet's loud. The storm's alive.
Wow, I love that song, Shady Groove. It's time. It's time, Shady Groove, for the narratives to fall.
Well, it's time. Well, it's time for the criminals to be reclassified as criminals. You see, like the criminals have been getting away with quote unquote murder. Isn't it interesting, Jeff, that they used the example whenever Donald Trump first started to run for office? If you think back, what were they saying? Oh, Donald Trump is this, he's that. He could go out. He said that he could walk out into the streets of New York and shoot someone and nobody could do anything about it. Interesting concept there, because what were they doing there? Could that have possibly been a form of projection? Could that have possibly been the people that were currently saying that they were guarding the institution, possibly guarding the institution of corruption? And they knew that Donald Trump wasn't corrupt. Because why? Because they've tried to corrupt him for about 30 years and it didn't work. As a matter of fact, he kept turning them in. So, I'm seeing something a little bit different here. And Jeff, you've heard me criticize the FBI. I would say that probably nobody else has even talked to you about, the unbelievably ridiculous behemoth of a budget is the FBI, other than this show. But now I've changed my mind. Now I want to give them more money. I want them to have as much. I want them to have as much as they can get, because I believe in them again.
Yeah.
And if the American
I never
people,
thought I'd say that.
I never thought I'd say that either. And if the American people start to do the same thing and start to trust them, you know what's going to happen? They're going to get results, bro. You can see the results that are happening right there. Like, look at the old saying, you get what you pay for. Okay. So if we're getting something, if we're getting a benefit from it, then we want to make it work better. If it's a detriment to us, then we want to strangle it in the bathtub. That's the way you're supposed to face government. Social issues be damned. Like that stuff means nothing. What we're talking about is the institutions of America, how they function and how they're funded. It's much like a teacher. I don't think that a teacher should be making minimum wage or barely getting by. I think these people are amazing human beings that are a selfless job. The FBI is a little bit of a selfless job also. People aren't excited to have an FBI agent show up at your door, and I completely agree with him there. Like, look the part. Yeah. Be intimidated. All these little, ankle biter DEI FBI agents that were showing up at people's doors about J6 and stuff like that. It was absolutely, it was like you literally found yourself not believing that was an FBI agent. I mean, honestly, even though they had the badge.
It was crazy. Shady, I want to do this real quick because it is time. It's time to get the man's edge, crush your workout, jack up your T levels and your sex drive, Shady Grove. Oh, God. Enjoy all night stamina in the bedroom.
Oh, Lord.
I'm reading it off the website. And burn away sags and build lean muscle. Size the edge and unlock your true potential. Look at that stuff right there. So it's good. Put it under your tongue for about 20 seconds. I do it 3 times a day now. I was doing it too. This is the man's edge. There it is there. There's the man's edge. So it supports your immune, and you'll get that free. I'm going to go through the offer now. It's amazing. Benefits: it supports your immune system, fat burn, muscle building, and joint health, improves your sleep, combats stress, the cortisol levels, boosts your energy and libido. And we want to give you this. Go to nutronicslabs.com, NUTRONICS labs.com/MG for 50% off with auto ship and a platinum bottle of the IGF-1, guys. So you get this and get that, guys, man's edge, and then you get the other one too, guys. This is awesome. The IGF-1, right here. Get that, and you get that for 50% off. This IGF will be completely free of charge. Plus, you'll get an extra 10% off when you use that code MG.
Oh, nice, and thank you very much. And by the way, this is a non-synthetic. A lot of the other stuff out there that are trying to sell you products like this are completely 100% ineffective and synthetic. This is a non-synthetic. This is a natural product. And it actually, whenever you dig into the research on what they're selling here, it's extraordinary. The deer antler research from the Velvet it's amazing. It's an amazing product.
It really is. Somebody, Squirrel Annan says, Jeff, can you give us a review on the bedroom stamina claim, please?
Please don't.
And then Scottish Annan says, a first-hand report, so to speak.
I'm just teasing.
Firsthand. Oh, you guys are funny. But get it, guys. It's good. I love it. I'm noticing a huge difference, guys. And thank you. It's time to go back to Kash Patel interview.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add to your sleep patterns and stuff have improved. It was another thing that was a big benefit that's happened for you.
I'm up earlier. I don't need a nap anymore, Shady Grove. Like sometimes I need a nap at 5 o'clock. I don't.
Now you want to go out and go to the driving range.
I know.
You think you're going to beat me at golf one day?
It's time.
It's time.
I can probably do a pull-up now. Jersey Talks. Thank you, Miss Jersey. Loves that. I'm on man's edge. Look at that.
Wow.
Jersey Talks. Aha, see? Miss Jersey.
And excited about it.
Loves that. God bless you. Thank you, Jersey Talks. And Krevin, 1 subscription to the MG Show. Thank you so much. Salty Old Fart says, it's time. Where we go one, we go all. And good morning, friends. Thank you, guys. We love you.
Morning.
All right, back to this. Kash Patel, name to remember. Interview.
What an interview. Boy, you talk about... No wonder they're ignoring this.
Wow. No wonder they're ignoring this. Is right, guys. And that's why we're trying to elevate it, guys.
Help us.
Help us, help them, help you.
Help them.
Them. Help me.
And me.
Help.
Oh, you don't want to help me? That's fine.
Help.
Don't help Shady.
I'm going to blink if I need help. All right? Shady's got me held hostage.
Point to the place on the doll where Shady hurt you.
All right, it's time to go back to the interview.
The art form to that was lost, and now I'm happy to hear that you're bringing that back. So that
it's going on right now. We've got 8 SACs downstairs doing a 3-day program on just that.
Okay.
So we're keeping it going.
And I like the fact that, and I've pointed this out on television and in print, is don't just do the one press conference when the big event happens and then it's radio silence. Even if you have nothing to say, have somebody. It doesn't have to be the SAC. The PIO could come up and just speak and say, we don't have any new information. We're going to reiterate where we're at right now and what we're working on. Yeah. And that transparency doesn't infringe on the constitutional rights of individuals, but at the same time comforts the public that, hey, something is happening and they are actively
and
working.
Finding the right time to do it. Because whether it's, if you look at December of last year, we disrupted 4 active ongoing terrorism attacks. We stopped them cold. California, Florida, New York, and I think Texas. 30 days we stopped 4 terror attacks. And we notified the public at the right time. And the critics want it both ways. Oh, you notified us too soon. Right. Or you didn't notify us at all. Right. Well, we actually succeeded in disrupting the terror attacks completely, safeguarding the mission and our personnel. Rolled these guys up. Now they're in prison, and the public knew almost immediately. And if you roll it back right to the UFC 250 events, people were like, well, why are you telling us now, was the criticism. Because we arrested 8 people and they're making their first appearance in court, so it's public anyway, and we didn't hurt the rest of the operation. As you guys have seen, we've been arresting people every week since UFC 250 for the threat stream related to UFC 250. So the balance has been struck, I think, at the highest, most prominent level in terms of, when you talk high profile, you're talking about the biggest sporting event ever at the White House on the lawn, and we were able to safeguard it and tell the world and the American public how we did it and what we were able to do at the right time.
Well, a lot of these people, a lot of the criticism that's coming are coming from individuals that don't have any access and that don't have expertise. So it's very easy for someone on social media just to propound, some sort of preposterous theory or opinion with regard to, complex operational activities. But to circle back a little bit about the FBI employee and your focus on employees, in the beginning, you were sort of an unknown entity to me. But when you made that statement after your confirmation about, you don't care what people say about you, you're there to defend the reputation and the work of the agents out on the street. When you made that comment, that really solidified to me that this is a guy that I can get behind. This is a guy I can support, because so many at the time, were clamoring for defund the FBI, abolish the FBI, all this nonsense, right? I mean, America needs the FBI. America needs an FBI being led appropriately, and in my opinion, led appropriately by you. And then they'll get the FBI that they deserve. I like to talk about, well, let's make the FBI great again. We don't throw water, we just replace the leadership.
Yeah, personnel is everything. You know that. We've replaced all senior personnel. We've redone the organizational charts here because they were built for the 1980s and 90s and they weren't built for the modern day. And that's just something that had to be done. It wasn't anything personal. And the reason that we had to do all this was exactly what you said. We had to change with the times. The American public saw us changing with the times and did glom on to hyperbolic statements of defund the police and get rid of the FBI. The FBI went through a severe erosion of public trust because of the weaponization of the past actors, because of the politicization. But us going after those folks is not retribution. Us going after those folks who they themselves failed to uphold the law and their oaths is how we are restoring public trust in it. It's the very thing I promised to do at my confirmation. And of course we're going to get heat because we're destroying the political narratives, the false ones that have been created. Everything from Russiagate to things like that are ongoing, like the investigations, this is public obviously, involving Jack Smith and everything else. Yeah. Those, now, what did we just hear from Senator Grassley? Thanks to our transparency initiative, a number of senators, I think it was 40, were text messages and phone calls were surveilled by the Department of Justice, sitting United States members of the House and the Senate. In what world is that okay? Right. Are you telling me Chairman Grassley and his counterparts are criminals? No. That's the weaponization of the FBI that we are now exploiting and showing to the American public.
You see that right there, Jeff?
And then, of course, the last piece is the accountability piece. And I know
look at how offended he is. I'd like for you to back it up maybe 15, 20 seconds there, but I want you to pay attention to how offended he is. This is the FBI director, and look at how offended he is at what law enforcement is doing to innocent American people. Isn't that the way that you categorize it? Don't you characterize it as that? Aren't you outraged by that? Why aren't some of these other people out there that are making all of this hay about Donald Trump and his administration, they don't seem to be outraged even in the slightest that this guy was doing this type of surveillance to sitting senators and congressmen. Doesn't matter to me what side of the aisle they were on. It matters to me that it was being done to them in real time, and the information that they were gleaning from doing it was being utilized to perpetuate a case. So if you understand the case, one thing leads to another. So as soon as an FBI agent gets any information, they know exactly how to spiderweb off of that information to all the other people that are in contact with the people that you're surveilling. And I see that right there from the FBI director, a guy, Kash Patel, a name to remember that Q mentioned. Nobody else knew who this guy was. These guys that are interviewing him didn't know who he was. You knew who he was. He'd been on our show like 3 times. He'd come here to explain to you exactly what it was he was offended by. You know what he said? I'm offended by government intrusion into the personal lives of Americans. And all these people do is they attack his faith. And they say, oh, he used this term or that term regarding his faith. Or they attack him because he went to a hockey game. Matter of fact, a hockey game that he helped secure and celebrated with the people that won. Americans that won. Like I don't understand how anybody can look at this man and see anything other than an American patriot. It's crazy to me what the length that they've gone to try to smear him.
In what world is that okay? Right. Are you telling me Chairman Grassley and his counterparts are criminals? No. That's the weaponization of the FBI that we are now exploiting and showing to the American public. And then, of course, the last piece is the accountability piece. And I know everybody wants it yesterday, but you guys know better than anything. It takes a little bit of time to break decades of institutionalized weaponization, expose the corruption, and then the last piece is holding them accountable, which we are working overtime on. And I've promised the American public, just look at our track record. We're doing it across the board. The hardest lift, and one that we are and will succeed on, is exposing those that worked in government, that they themselves generated the biggest politically charged, baseless operations in FBI history. And when we hold those people accountable, then we'll have completed, I think, the mission.
And this is something I've experienced with at least one past director, and we can talk offline about which one that was, what happened. I'm a big proponent, as are a lot of people in mine and John's circles, that publicly praise, constructive criticism in private, not putting it out there, because what we see from some former FBI agents, not retired ones, they want to come out and they want to provide that criticism and lead with that, and then John and I are adept enough to look at it and say, well, that's just a grift. You're just trying to cultivate clicks or likes or whatever, and you guys have been doing good at just kind of ignoring that and letting it kind of die on the vine. But I get the impression that you're okay with your leadership team coming in and saying, boss, I don't think that's a good idea.
I ask for it every day.
That is a refreshing thing to hear from
every single day. I demand that of my assistant directors, my operational directors, my ADD, my deputies. I ask that every single day. You guys are in the field, you're in touch, you do the work, they call you. Also go around, you guys should do it. Call the SACs. See if they have ever had this much direct contact with the director of the FBI. I call them every week. And I talk to them, I say, hey, what's working in Denver? What's not working in Denver? Did this policy change we make, is that effective for you in the field? And not just for agents, for your entire workforce. And if it's a problem in Denver, it's probably going to be a problem in Omaha, and it's probably going to be a problem in Maine. And my leadership team also knows to be doing the same thing, because these folks were our career agents, our career FBI staff, and they have reach, like you guys do, to these criticisms. So sometimes we'll have an idea and they'll be like, I don't think this one's going to work, or we'll roll it out and be like, we need to change it left or right. I said, when we make these changes, they're not permanent, they're not set in stone. We are going to adapt to how the field reacts to them, because we got the change idea from the field. When I do a field office visit, I don't think any FBI director has done this. I kick out all the leadership, and I meet with the frontline supervisors, and then I meet with senior personnel. And there's not one ASAC or SAC in the room. And I give them as much time as I can give them to say, it's the most important feedback I get.
Yeah, that's a good
It's the most important feedback I get, because they're honest, they're open, there's no retribution, there's no wrong question or answer. I want that information to get to my team. I take it back here, and then we say, wow, we weren't tracking that. And so I think if you ask the careers that are here, they'll tell you that process is working. And also, we're moving faster than we've ever done, faster than we've ever moved. And we're not cutting corners. I said, we can't do that. The mission requires us to maintain the integrity of the mission, but the current times demand that we move with the speed of the adversary.
Yeah. If I could ask real quick about FISA.
Yeah.
And I know people are very concerned about it. It is the FISA warrant process. It is a warrant process. I understand 702 is a little bit different, complicated, but I really enjoyed your fix, your really simple fix in Government Gangsters for some of the issues with FISA court and the failure of the Bureau to provide exculpatory information and all that type of thing. The streamlining of the dialogue, has that altered for the Bureau FISA policy at all? Was that addressed?
It's a combination of the two. So FISA is a little bit of a different animal, as you guys know, but it also suffered from the same overkill from administration that the rest of your search warrant and Title III process or what have you, right? Getting a promotion, anything like that. So what we did was we came in and I said, do not bring me one FISA package that does not have every piece of exculpatory information that you can possibly obtain. And I literally built that into every package. It is front and center. This is the DROG we have, this is the exculpatory information we have, this is the information in between, we don't know which way it goes. We are upfront about it, and because we're responsible for that. It's a powerful tool that keeps our nation safe. And so we also, there used to be a 3-strike rule on, in terms of whether you're talking queries or just access to FISA data. There's no 3 strikes. You're trained. You know what you're doing. If you misspell a name, okay, we got you. Some of these selectors are complicated, no problem. But you're out. And we've also made it where during the FISA process and the warrant and application process, where I don't need 4,000 people looking at it. I need the smartest folks looking at it, making the correct decisions, right, and then partnering with DOJ ultimately to get it across the finish line. And so that's another thing that we've streamlined. We've also, we won't have a chance to talk about it today, but the modernization of the FBI is maybe the thing I'm most proud of. Mm-hmm. When I got here, we had 2 AI use cases. 2. We just hit our 110th. Mm-hmm. I went out to the private sector. We got AI at CGIS. I got AI at NTOC. I got AI on our classified systems and our unclassified systems. We just launched an app on people's phones, Copilot app with AI on it, to help them put together documents and research and things like that. We are bringing in technology. We are fixing our entire backbone infrastructure, because for the last 10, 20 years, nobody did anything. They just put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound and said, well, this is a patchwork, we can fix it. We literally scuttled it and have brought in the IBMs, the Googles, the Metas, the Microsofts, and the AI partners that are out there on the large language models, and said, we need you in. And you know what they said? We're going to come in. We're going to come in at a huge discount because we agree with your mission, and we owe that to the field. And so the modernization of this place, so we can give the same toolkit to Bangor, Maine, as we do to Louisville, Kentucky, as we do to San Francisco, California, that's the standard. And if you talk to the people here now, the amount of tech modernization we have done has been maybe the most impressive feat we've done. And the fact that we're doing it on all 3 of our enclaves, which has never been done before, and people said we couldn't do, we're achieving that mission. So the AI and the modernization on the tech with the private sector has been maybe one of the best things we've done.
That sounds bad for them.
Coming from someone that we didn't have cell phones in the FBI when I came in, so we just had a calling card. If I needed to call the office, I could pull over to a payphone and dial a number, and the Let's card and all of that stuff. It was a different time, but the tempo of the FBI is what I like to hear that is coming back. There was a concern of mine for a period of time. This was during the past administrations. I said, I was here at WFO on 9/11. I responded to the Pentagon that Tuesday, and there was a point that if somebody had asked me, do you think that the FBI could respond and at that tempo that we did on 9/11, and I said, I don't know if the caliber of the people are there like they were then. We didn't complain about the 18-hour days. I mean, I left my squad in September. I didn't see it till February, and and I've lost 3 of my best friends to cancer since then. I get checked out every year for cancer because of my exposure there, and I just looked at that tempo, and I'm starting to get a little more comfort that that tempo could be achieved again if we had a major event. I hope that the caliber of the agents coming in keeps supplementing that, and we get back to that myth of the FBI agent, that when you walk in, they know who you are, they know what you're about, and that you've got individuals that go out there and put their country first, Constitution first, civil rights.
Yeah, to achieve that, that's a major goal of ours, and I think we have achieved and are going to continue to achieve it. One, we've talked about the human side of the house and the admin side of the house and the onboarding and the applications in Quantico. But to continue to achieve that, you have to do this. You have to present a command center that you see in the movies. If you saw this place 14 months ago, you'd laugh at it. And the fact that it took me, in my first week, I asked for a secure call with the Attorney General when I was in the vehicle. It took him 45 minutes to make that connection. That is laughable and also absurd. And it wasn't a knock on any of the people that are here. They were never given the resources to make the changes. So we did that. And if you look at, can we answer to a critical incident? Just look at every critical incident that we have already responded to. We stood up for the first time ever, the Joint Mission Center. It's here. The Joint Mission Center is literally solely responsible for detecting and stopping threats like UFC 250. We, the FBI, brought in our interagency partners under NSPM 7 and put it right here along with the National Coordination Center and our Five Eyes partners and our classified components. And because we stood that up and took the time to build places like this and co-locate people, we are now able to operate at that tempo. When there's a critical incident, Scott and his team have a strike card for me in 60 seconds. This is where it happened. This is our resources. This is how far away they are. We're the lead. State and locals are the lead. They need ERT. This is why we're able to launch fixed wing assets within the hour. This is why you've seen HRT on the ground in record speed. This is why you're seeing, what did we just hit, our 25th foreign transfer of custody for the last month alone?
Right.
When was the last time the FBI ever did 25 FTOCs in 1 month?
Never.
We have reach around the world with our partners thanks to the Trump administration, because we got WASTA with them, and we are bringing back fraudsters in record time. We're bringing back terrorists in record time, narco traffickers in record time. We're going, this week alone, we're running 3 separate FTOCs. It is incredible that we are able to do that, but what it speaks to is the intangibles that we fixed. The mechanics, the componentry of this place. Take care of the people first, but also at the same time take care of how and where they operate and listen to them and say, what do you guys need? We need co-location. We need better response time on fixed wing assets. We need better rotary, things like that. And we're doing that. And the Joint Mission Center is an incredible achievement that never existed before, is a permanent fixture now of the FBI, which is why we're able to respond to critical incidents in record speed. And you see it. Name a critical incident in the last 14, 15 months that has happened where the FBI has not been on the ground within literally minutes.
Right.
And then flying resources in, moving evidence response teams, bringing in the SABTs, bringing in the K9s, bringing in HRT, bringing in SWAT. We do it round the clock, and that's why the regional coverage is so impressive for me and so important for me, because they're showing the communities the FBI that we have built, and they are now seeing and feeling and touching it and saying, wow, these guys are here, these guys and gals are here, and they're here in record time.
Yeah, I think that, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up here, but the stark contrast to what I saw in the response to Butler, Pennsylvania. Now, there are times when the FBI lends resources to state and local law enforcement. You've been really good and upfront about that. Hey, we're in a support role here, and we're providing this information. And there are times when the FBI is supposed to be, actually, according to statute, is supposed to be in charge. And when you're in charge, you're in charge. And without even having access to any of the Butler, Pennsylvania information, John and I have talked about this, and we're able to observe from the outside. And it was clear that the FBI did not take a leadership role in that, in investigating it. They subcontracted to other state and local law enforcement. Okay, get us your information. No, there should be one repository for the case. The FBI works it. You work with us. We dictate how things are going to be conducted. And I think we saw that a lot of things were missed in the investigation, not just in the investigation, but I mean what was happening out in Butler. And I think there's been a dramatic change with that, with what we saw at UFC 250.
Yeah. I mean, look, when we're the lead, we're the lead. That's what I tell people. When we're not the lead, we're in a support role. Nancy Guthrie case is a perfect example. That is a state and local matter. We don't ever want to overstep and do something that we're not. That's why we have law enforcement partners. That's why the relationships with law enforcement. If you go around and ask major city chiefs, ask NAPO, ask NSA, ask any of the fraternal organizations of police and law enforcement around the country, we have never had better partnerships with them than we do now. And state and local PDs, we have never had better partnerships than we do it now. Indian country, it has never been a priority for this FBI. It is a priority, and we are kicking ass in Indian country. And it's awesome because it is a part of the country that most people don't see or touch, but they are equally impacted by violent crime and gangs and trafficking and kids that are being brutally violated and assaulted, and we can't ignore that. So that's our lead mission. We're the lead there, and we can't not be there. And so we've made that priority abundantly clear. When we respond and we're the lead, and we're going to let you know it. But we cannot do this job without our partners, whether we're the lead or whether we're in support. Right. Our partners across law enforcement are the most important resource we have. And I've made that the priority everywhere I go. Even when we're talking overseas stuff. Look at what we're doing in China. We literally went to Beijing for the first time in 11 years. Nobody had been there for the FBI. And we got the fentanyl precursors turned off, saving tens of thousands of lives thanks to President Trump's engagement with Xi Jinping.
And the trolls were saying he took a private flight, blah, blah, blah. But look at what he did. Do you know how many children, adults that this person has saved by getting rid of the fentanyl precursors from China, Shady Grove?
It can't be counted. What is it, like 1,300 barrels of precursor material that were seized by the DOJ or by law enforcement? 1,300 barrels of precursor materials, you guys. Like, that is like a decade's worth of fentanyl manufacturing. Yeah. A decade. So they were trying to stockpile it so that it would be in place so that it couldn't be found. But guess who found it? Law enforcement. Guess who started bombing, pointing out drug boats? Law enforcement. Wow, oh, what a concept. Did you notice, Jeff, what if all of the people that started pulling their hair out whenever we started bombing drug boats were connected to the intelligence agencies?
Oh.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting that all of your and the ones that were, run to the Maryland man's side and follow him to El Salvador, like these people, that are very interwoven with the, what was it that Hillary said we were going to do we were going to bring them to heel. And Kash Patel is talking about the biggest problem, which was the street gangs. Well, who were we bringing to heel? Oh, yes, Hillary was bringing the street gangs to heel in President Trump's President Clinton's first administration.
And a lot of people don't realize that Hillary's dad was the one that got rid of the mafia in Chicago and replaced them with street gangs.
Exactly right. And actually got rid of the mafia he didn't like, number one. Then replaced them street gangs with the ones he did like.
I'm gonna push back on that because no, all the drug dealings went through the street gangs, you know. So he got rid of at least the people in Chicago that were on the street selling the drugs and all that other stuff.
Understand?
Yes.
Now I understand what you were saying. I was misunderstanding you. Yes,
I know.
Exactly right. And so all of it combined shows you what? An effort by, quote, law enforcement to not do law enforcement things, an effort by law enforcement to do criminal things as they pretend to do law enforcement things. And then every American that gets in the way is cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, all of the people hurt by this institution over decades and decades, you know, whenever Q came out to start to target this stuff, and even Kash Patel, you're talking about government gangsters. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about the criminal. We're talking about the fox running the hen house. You don't have to be a rocket surgeon to figure that out. You can understand quite clearly that you can't have foxes inside the hen house if you want chickens. Okay. So delicate chickens are human beings in society thinking that they're protected by the FBI when the FBI is really marauding over them 24/7.
Marauding.
Marar.
All right, here, let's just finish this up. I think they're going to do pleasantries, but let's just finish this up because it's an amazing interview, guys.
That was stellar.
The work on scam centers. We won't even be able to get into that today, but we're taking down scam centers in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, and we've already done $14 billion in scam center scuttling and disruptions. Think about the senior citizens that will not be victimized of their life savings because of this work we're doing. We're doing so much of a mission that people don't recognize that we're the lead. Nobody else is going to do it, and we are statutory the lead, so we're doing it. And we're trying to advertise. And I say this to the folks here, you guys know this better than anyone. You know, nobody joins the FBI to show off what they do. They just don't. Right. But, you know, my job is to show it off. My job is to showcase their work and show the American people that this is what they're doing for you, not just coast to coast, but around the entire globe.
Wow.
And, you know, one day we'll have to sit down and we could probably spend an hour on just the cyber work that we never got into, but it's been an impressive campaign on the cyber front and protecting our critical infrastructure and engaging with private sector directly in ways that we've never done before. And the cyber mission has never been more successful.
I just want to highlight something you said real quick. When you're talking about how important those local partnerships are, how actually critical they are, I get asked that Nancy Guthrie question a lot. Why doesn't the FBI just come in and take over? And people don't get, without those local partnerships, the Bureau really is tremendously handicapped. So I was glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, it's, you know, state cases are state cases, local cases are local cases. That's why we got sheriffs and PCs and police departments and tribal officers, but our cases are ours and our investigations are ours, and we're always going to offer assistance whether we're in the lead or not.
Wow. Okay, so guys, I want you guys to go over to the FBI page. I'm going to link it here. And, you know, I'm going to ask you guys to say, hey, oh, they're turned off. Comments are turned off. Dang it.
Oh, no. Nice try.
Oh, darn it. They turned them off.
Blocked us.
MG show sent me.
That's probably a good thing, actually.
What a great interview, Shady.
Okay. So I have a question for you. And you listen to that, made me formulate a question. I found a way that I can like illegals. And I want you to help me here. So if someone is not an American and they live in a foreign country and they perpetuate some sort of scam that steals money out of someone's pocket or causes some sort of harm to some family or does something to them personally, steals their identity, whatever it is, some network, somebody, somewhere, some foreign guy. Are you okay, Jeff, if we go get him and create ourselves a nice little cushy bedroom for him over there in the lockup? And keep him here as an illegal?
No.
Yes. He loves to be
I want him shipped out of here, man. I want him shipped out, gone.
Well,
I'm sorry.
What he's saying there is he's saying we're going out and we're getting these people that are organizing these networks. Whenever he was talking about the number of people that we've gone and got, what he's saying is we're going. So effectively, the old FBI said those people have rights. The old FBI said, oh, this guy's like, he's He's a Serbian national. You got to respect his rights, even though he steals your money and perpetuates the scam. Kash says, no, we got a place for him. We're going to go get him and we're going to bring him over here. We're going to prosecute him and then we're going to put him in prison. That's an illegal I could get behind. That's an alien that I like. I like the idea that we're importing some criminal aliens.
Oh, and Shady, I'd like to tell you that John Nantz actually reposted our live show on X today.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Hope
and
we did a good job.
You probably did too. We're going to have them on, okay? I wanted you guys to get the scope of this interview and how amazing it was, okay? This interview was amazing. And then the same communists, because we know what communist propaganda is now, guys, don't we? Are trashing this interview, not wanting you to see it. So what does the MG show have to do? We have to watch it. And we have to break the psyop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. And what we also do is we pay attention to the clicks on Twitter or X. And what's interesting is how people ignore these things. The part of a psychological operation is the ability for the network to ignore information. The ability to delete. Did you hear what he said right there about what Kash said about exculpatory evidence? Yeah. Did somebody else ever tell us? Did somebody come to a conversation at some point in time to explain to the American people? It might have been Bannon and Epstein that came out to explain to me about what exculpatory evidence was.
Also, there was an exculpatory evidence thing with, I'll give you 5 stars in general if you can figure it out.
The one that was left out intentionally.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that interesting that they would take a rubber bullet?
And rubber bullets sting, but they don't last long, do they?
Oh, it's so very interesting. And what Kash Patel said there, he's like, if you bring me a case that has left out an ounce of exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory evidence, for those that might not know, is everything about a person that doesn't fit with the idea that they committed a crime. Okay, so anytime you're investigating a human being, you're compiling all, this means he did it, this means he did it, this means he did it, oh, that means he didn't do it, that means he didn't do it. Whether that means he didn't do it, things they kept leaving out of cases that they wanted to perpetuate the way that they wanted them to. You just saw the FBI director say, if your slap happy ass brings me a case that has left out exculpatory evidence, that is a firing offense. That's an amazing institution, guys. That's an institution that you can believe in. And I am not one to sit here and say I'm to believe. Look, I grew up amongst the revenuers, Jeff. You know, the revenuers were effectively the FBI. NASCAR was created because of people running from the revenuers whenever they were making their moonshine up in the still. So I come from a line of people that aren't exactly excited about the FBI, but I'm going to sit here and say I am currently extraordinarily excited about law and order taking front and center.
And the word of the day is...
Wow. Exculpatory.
There it is. All right, I got it.
You failed on that one.
All right. Well, that was an interview that is well worth seeing. John Nantz also has a Substack. Okay, The John Nantz on Substack. Go over there, find the video as well. Tell him that MG Show sent you. Go over The John Nantz on X as well, is what he is, The John Nantz. And then Chris Hinkle, Hinkle. I don't remember. Let me just double check what it is, Shady. Hinkle. Okay. So it's The Chris Hinkle and The John Nantz. Go over there and follow them on X. This is, we've got them tagged here. This is John right here, The John Nantz. And this is The Chris Hinkle. And of course, you're already following Kash Patel, I'm sure.
Oh, you better be.
Yeah.
Oh. And by the way, that's if you aren't, you might not be following the FBI rapid response. I encourage you to go follow that, because they're developing what he was saying there about AI, artificial intelligence. Now they're using that to show you graphics and statistics that actually correlate. Remember, we talked about in the Q Lounge about correspondence theory. You got to find something in reality that corresponds to what it is you're seeing. These things are now syncing up to recognize that you're getting transparent, real-time information. And I really liked also what he said there about the idea of, like, once we have the case and the case is here and it's wrapped up and we pass this certain point, it's a criminal.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are these people so dead set and determined, Jeff, to not put the face of the criminal on TV? Every night I see on TV here this illegal immigrant that has done something wrong, but I don't see his face. But yesterday, a guy down the street robbed a bank. He was a white guy, robbed a bank, and guess what? They didn't have any issue with putting his face on TV.
Face all over the place.
Everywhere. Everybody found him in 10 seconds.
Yeah. And, we were noticing patterns with the shootings, that they were trans people, too. I mean, and they wouldn't report on that either. It's like, it's ridiculous. If you're a criminal, you're a criminal. And the best way that America can move forward is find out why we have these criminals.
And law and order, by the book, done right.
Has to be done
it's
right.
like, I don't want anybody prosecuted that didn't do the crime. So I want the FBI to spend as much time figuring out who didn't do the crime as they do figuring out who did do the crime.
Yeah.
You are a beautiful human being, each and every one of you. And if the FBI is investigating you, it is a detrimental reality for you to be going through. You don't want to see people be harmed for things they didn't do. You want to see people be punished and have consequences that we all agree on for the things that they knowingly did do.
That's right. That's right. Knowingly.
They're criminals.
And then, everybody does it. The FBI does the investigation. The DOJ brings the charges. People have to understand that, right?
That's another thing.
And, and people don't understand how the law works. We just want,
Arrest now!
Well, we are having a lot of arrests and the deportations, and that is bottom to top, guys. That's how it's gonna have to happen. Get their foot soldiers out before you go to the foot soldiers, commanders, if you will, Shady, for lack of a better term.
Yes, because in America, you're not allowed to investigate people. You're allowed to investigate crime. Law enforcement can investigate crime. Investigating crime leads to a person. The Anon community, quote unquote, has gotten a little bit over their skis with this thirst for blood. What you should be thirsty for is someone that has been charged with something to be prosecuted. You shouldn't care about the outcome.
Right.
Because the outcome is required of a jury of 12 of their peers, and you should believe in that system. So the prosecution is what you should be advocating for, or not necessarily convictions and jail time.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Shady says
crime.
Yeah.
We investigate crime, not people. We've been investigating people for the last 25 years inside the FBI. Actually, it's been longer than that, but you can clearly see, Q went through the whole thing and exposed the secure drop stuff.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, nobody understood exactly how that dynamic worked, but Q explained it, and then everybody that was an intelligence agents pulled their hair out. It's almost like the same ones that were intelligence agents pulling their hair out when drug boats go boom. I don't know.
And I want to play this too, because the White House actually released this video. Pretty interesting, Shady. Are you ready?
I am. Yep.
Okay, check it out.
Yep.
We come to this place for MAGA. To fight,
and fight we will.
Win. Because we need that, all of us. The indescribable feeling we get when we hear the national anthem. And stand together, stronger than ever before. Under this administration, we're going somewhere we've never been. We aren't just watching history, we're making it. Rebuilding our country better than ever. A country where we don't do heartbreak, we do victory. An America that is safer, more secure, more prosperous. And any setbacks that stand in our way simply makes the comeback that much sweeter. Welcome to the golden age.
Wow. And you know what I would notice, Shady Groove? That MAGA, the logo there. Check out the logo. Let's see, here it is. Right here. See that? And then this scene right here where you see the reflection of the White House in the puddle. Check it out. And then somebody goes, psh,
we come to this.
That is from AMC movies, Shady.
Oh, interesting.
So AMC logo at the end with MAGA, and then the AMC. If you ever look at their things in the theaters, their ads in the theaters, it starts with that. It's pretty wild, Shady.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
But I think that was I think that was this is a perfect moment, because it's the moment where people are starting to realize, whenever you have the shock to the system, like all these people jumping ship and now people are starting to solidify and realize how much nonsense they've been perpetuating, who's on whose side, and we're going to thank our commander-in-chief once again for separating the wheat from the chaff, and for the oil from the water, and showing you the truth from the lie, and showing you the falsity that they've been perpetuating as they decry themselves victim of the establishment.
Yeah, it's just how all those people work. Let me just grab it real quick, Shady, because it's right. Oh, I thought it was right here. Is that August 2nd already? I thought I did a reply.
I think you might have quoted it.
Did I quote it?
I'm not sure.
We do this live. Real quick, I want to thank this decode here, 1251. President Trump posts Newsweek at 1251. Trump was right. Trump, and then look at it. Trust in Trump on the White House. And it says, listen carefully. Trust the plan.
You need to calm down.
Stop it. Stop it. And that is a hat tip to Autist Division. Thank you for that.
Very good.
Yeah. I mean, man, I thought I had it here, Shady. I thought I had it, but oh well, it is what it is.
Okay.
We're gonna get out of here too, because tonight we have a show tonight, don't we, Shady? Do you have a show?
I do have a show tonight. We were going to be gathering for the 7th episode. Now 7 episodes already of the relaunch of Q Lounge Live. I'd like to thank all the people out there that have been supportive of, number one, supporting of me starting it again. It was your encouragement that got me to start it again. Thank you so much to Jeff here for tolerating me. It's like, this man has to listen to me already for 2 hours a day, and now he's like being forced to encourage me to broadcast for 2 more hours. It's very amazing that he would support such a venture. But thank all of you so much. And tonight we're going to talk about, do the cures already exist? And that's what we're going to focus on. And I'm going to be giving you a whole handful of information so that you can see for yourself some of the true things that have been hidden from you, and some of the things that we probably should be talking about, considering we're all getting a little bit older and we're all facing some sort of something. Some family member somewhere could use some information, and information can be very, very helpful in a dire situation where people are being diagnosed with things they might not have, or need some insight onto what Q was talking about whenever Q was explaining that your system is controlled against you. So that'll be tonight. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel, on our YouTube channel, on X, also on my Truth for Freedom channel, and on Facebook.
Whoa, can't wait. Great topic. Shady says, knee deep in truth. Thank you for that. Wigwam says, fantastic, Shady. I'm not getting older. I'm getting more experience, says CJ. That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's what they keep telling me.
I keep trying to tell Shady that. He's like, no, you're an old man. I'm like, stop it.
He's hit me with his cane when he says it.
That's a walker.
A walker. Sorry.
The calm before the storm. We'll see you guys tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Q Lounge Live.
Jeff will be there.
I can feel it in the air tonight. I see the signals in the wire. A question in the darkness, a spark inside the fire. They laughed at all the breadcrumbs, said nobody would see. But every drop was thunder rolling over history. The maps were drawn in silence, the clocks were set in code. The faithful kept on watching down that long and narrow road. And somewhere in the distance, through the noise and through the swarm, you can feel the whole world holding still. It's the calm before the storm. It's the calm before the storm. When the truth comes marching in, when the ones who sold the people out have nowhere left to spin. MG on the front line, Trump standing at the door. The drops become the lightning. It's the calm before the storm. Jeffrey's reading through the wreckage. Shannon's calling out the names, pulling threads from every headline, showing patterns in the game. They buried it in back rooms, they hid it in plain sight, but the MG show kept digging till the dark was in the light. From the Q drops to the questions, from the boards to what we know, every lie starts cracking when the receipts begin to show, and the machine starts shaking like it's never shook before. 'Cause the people aren't sleeping now. It's the calm before the storm. It's the calm before the storm. When the truth comes marching in, when the ones who sold the people out have nowhere left to spin. MG on the front line, Trump standing at the door. The drops become the lightning. It's the calm before the storm. No more shadows for the wicked, no more deals behind the veil, no more kings without a kingdom, no more justice up for sale. Every document, every witness, every secret they ignored comes rolling like a wave tonight and crashes on the shore. He's not moving like a rumor, he's not speaking just to speak. He's been watching from the tower while the proud became the weak. And the storm ain't made of anger, it's the way to what is true. It's the sound of all the hidden things finally breaking through. So light the board and mark the moment. Let the broadcast carry on. Tell the ones still in the valley that the night is almost gone. MG, keep the cameras rolling. Let the record be reborn. The air is still, the sky is charged. It's the calm before the storm. It's the calm before the storm. When the truth comes marching in, when the ones who sold the people out have nowhere left to spin. MG on the front line, Trump standing at the door. The drops become the lightning. It's the calm before the storm. It's the calm before the storm.
Oh, yeah.
The storm.
The calm before the storm. Real quick before we get out of here, Chris Hinkle forwarded the interview and said, "High praise for you, sir." And Kash Patel went underneath the post for the MG show that Shady posted this morning and liked Chris Hinkle's post. God bless you, Kash Patel. God bless you, Patriots. Where we go, when we go all. www.mg.show. Wait, mg.show. Boom. Ha ha.